Welcome back to another episode of Competitive Council Internet. Adi, I'm so excited in this January as soon as we turn a new leaf of a new year because there's a sign an agreement between Johor and Singapore, which is an agreement of Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone. Well, Special Economic Zone is not a new thing per se, but what's so exciting about this is that this is between a two region that you would say they should have done it a long time ago. Why now? Well, I will touch on certain of point of that, but first I want to say that my excitement actually came from that this was the MOU was signed a year ago, and it took them a year to iron out everything, and then rightly so, in the first week of January they signed the agreement. Now that's the easiest part. Implementation would be another thing. The size of this special economic zone is about quadruple or 5 times larger than Singapore. I think this will be an agreement that will a game changer for Singapore, certainly because if you see Singapore as someone that is full of potential and he fulfilled it, it's like you would say Messi in a very small club. You know, he done it. He scored everything. He became top scorer and everything, but he's in small club. Now, with the availability of a vast area of Johor, and of course the abundance of very cheap labor from Malaysia, this will elevate Singapore economy to a new different level. Can you imagine just companies like Dyson or any other MNC companies that really dying to get that advanced technology for in Singapore? Now they can do that with very maybe a fraction of investment that you do back in whatever years before. So I think in terms of that alone would excite anyone that listen to this proposal, because special economic zone in this country that is really successful is what we can see here is Shenzhen, which is an immediate neighbor of Hong Kong, which is a similar situation if you want to draw the comparison with Singapore and Johor. The other one is a mainly developed region, but the other is their smaller counterparts. It's very rich in terms of economically speaking. So to me, this is something just waiting to happen. And now that it happened, the implementation especially by the government of Malaysia, because we know Singapore government going to be very efficient in terms of doing this. They already signed it, means the commitment that coming from, especially from Lawrence Wong, to see this through, it's going to be very high. And, we're going to have general election in 2 years' time? And 2 years is a very short time in terms you want to do big project like this. They would say like they're expecting 50 mega projects in the next 7 or 6 years. There's going to be a general election. If there's a changes in administration, I don't know if we can hold our end in terms of Malaysian politicians, like, hey, and they become like Mahathir case again, like the high speed way, the train is gonna be cancelled. Not gonna do this anymore. The repercussions later. So that would be another thing that we're afraid of. But that's again 2 or 3 years from now. What's your first take about this special economic zone?
I mean, it's an obvious evolution between, I think, more so Johor and Singapore here, considering how closely interrelated Johor and Singapore is. They almost cannot exist with without one another. A very intrinsic relationship, and I think it's underplayed. I mean, when we talk about Malaysia and Singapore relations, we always talk about in a bilateral way, in a very centralized way, when it comes from Putrajaya over to Singapore itself. But we have to consider that in a way Johor is almost like the beating heart of this relationship, because it's the the first point of crossing for Singaporeans to enter Malaysia if you were traveling by land. A lot of workers between Singapore and Johor move between each other, and of course Singaporeans always more than happy to take advantage of our oil subsidies and us selling water at a very competitive rate and then buying it back at a premium. The jokes go on and on about how, and it's always, you can see the focal point being Johor itself. So it's a very natural evolution to pursue to ensure that both Singapore and Johor is able to economically benefit with one another, to facilitate more interaction and more economic activity with one another. And Johor historically has always played that role, has always been, even during the Sultanate times, has always been a very important trading hub. And Singapore being in itself an economic giant in terms of trade and investment, why wouldn't Johor want to be closer to that sphere of influence, to be more interconnected with Singapore, and at the same time reap the benefits that Singapore has, and vice versa as well? So this is very, very natural, and I think this is something that Malaysia should try look more into in other regions as well. What about the special economic zone for the North Malaya, the north of the peninsula with the south of Thailand? Maybe that can be a great opportunity to ease tensions of in southern Thailand itself. Or why not, look more towards enhancing the current Bimpiaga institution that we have, to have an economic zone as well, a more formalized economic zone in this side of Malaysia, in the Borneo side, in the East ASEAN side, right? So it opens up a lot of opportunities as well to show that Malaysia can, and with the countries are also willing to evolve its relationships to become more interconnected with one another. These things are never static. Things evolve over time. Like I remember we mulled about this, I think, about 2 years ago. It's that the potential of like a Borneo Union as well. Like how European Union came from the Steel Commission, Steel Commission. So it's a sort of an economic bloc in that sense, right? So zone, then eventually in economic bloc. So this, I like it because it shows that there is flexibility in arrangements here, and that is going to open up a lot of opportunities. If the Malaysian government or the respective regional governments want to pursue such a goal, right? Now, with that said, I'm going to put a bit here zoom in on a particular way how this special economic zone is being facilitated. That is through the Malaysia My Second Home program, something that is being promoted heavily by this government, by the Madani government. Even Sabah has created its own Sabah My Second Home program as well, to attract foreigners to come and work in Malaysia. Now, this is going to be extended to this special economic zone, whereby the Malaysian government announces that there's only one, that the Forest City development in Johor, next to the second bridge crossing from Johor to Singapore. Now, this is going to be a place where Singaporeans are able to apply for the second home program and to be able to live and migrate into Malaysia in Johor, this particular area. Now, the Forest City was developed, I think, by a Chinese initiative, and was never really got off the ground. There was not much interest. So in a way, it's kind of like, no brainers. Like, this infrastructure is there. Why not if we want to promote more workers coming in from Singapore, their talent coming in, the skills coming in to come and assist in Malaysia, why not we provide them that over there? But at the same time, there doesn't seem to be a program on the Singaporean side. At least not that I'm aware of. Like, Singapore, I don't think has a dedicated housing or immigration program exclusively for Malaysians, like how the Malaysia has the My Second Home program for this SEZ. But this is something that can be negotiated, it's something that can be talked about. But it would be nice to see that it would sweeten the pot in a way, to allow that, the shared, it's mutual, have it be mutual. Of course, I understand Singapore's concerns as well, because housing there and land there is limited. Jobs are also highly competitive there. But if Singapore has always wanted to pursue the idea of, like, they always like to bring in foreign professionals to assist them in a lot of high skilled jobs. Then this is something that Singapore can also explore together, to show more good faith, in that sense that, okay, since we're taking a lot of Singaporean talent in, what about taking Malaysian talent, making it easy for Malaysian talent to get to Singapore. So that's also one thing to bring up. And hopefully, this is in discussion. This is something that is being planned out. If anyone wants to prove me wrong, then feel free to let me know that there is one. I'm not saying this because I want to move to Singapore, by the way, but uh, it's just to be more factual and correct about it, because I don't think there is that parallel with Malaysians having that exclusive migration housing into Singapore.
I think Rafizi's speech during the signing of the agreement already sort of kind of answer your questions, Adi, because he said that Singapore will provide the fund in terms of investment. Malaysia will provide the fund in terms of infrastructure. So if you need roads or whatever, there's a 5 billion ringgit allocated for infrastructure. But when it comes to setting up the business, it must come. Well, he didn't use the word must, but he said that Singapore will take this role. So I guess here they just want, it's a straight cut of Singapore, the sort of kind of salesman that's going to bring in a lot of investment to this region. And Malaysia is the technician that will do factories from ground up, infrastructure, ports, whatnot. So I think in terms of human resource as well, which is because this economic zone is located in Johor, so of course this concern is mostly what happened in Malaysia. How we gonna not just stop brain drain, but also to brain gain, instead of just letting our Malaysians best talent working in Singapore. So the intention is that this is the new Singapore 2.0. If you have the best brain, if you think you're the most skilled, especially in AI, healthcare, devices, and aerospace, your next destination should be in Johor. So that's why this Malaysia Second Home Program, whatnot, to boost that expectation, because they certainly require 40,000 high skilled worker. Can you imagine 40,000 high skilled worker? These are not no disrespect to Bangladeshi, but Bangladeshi's construction worker. This is your proper AI engineers, your chip designers, whatnot. It will be intense to provide this. That's one of the biggest hurdle, because can we, Malaysia, provide this? I know Singapore has some very highly skilled workers, but certainly it's not gonna be 40,000, right? We gonna have to make up that number. And how are we going to do that with our even we are brethren? We are best of our talent go to Australia, to UK, to US. What's left in Malaysia? So it will be a long process for Malaysian to attract back this so-called lost talent that we have back to Malaysia, especially in Johor, so that they can actually live up to this expectation, 50 mega projects until up until 2030. So that's the target, the first phase target of doing this SEZ. Another thing that I want to highlight about SEZ idea here is that in terms of implementation, how are we going to do this? Because in terms of infrastructure, the rapid trend that already ongoing on the construction here will be commencing in the first quarter of 2027. So the people of movement, in that sense, yeah, we can see it. There's a trend that's gonna be very, very busy, ferrying people, 40,000 people a day. But if we look at people movement, it's not just gonna be the infrastructure side, right? It's gonna be the law. Will Singapore and Johor gonna be like Schengen area in Europe, where they just can cross border, maybe not even bringing their passport? Or will there be a new mechanism? It's just gonna be another app that they have to download, and then a breeze through 3 seconds verification sort of thing. I mean, they're gonna be investing in AI anyway, so of course they're gonna have this already in mind. So certainly in terms of legality, how it's gonna be moving towards, are we gonna have another immigrations post after Johor towards Malacca, right? Okay, Malacca and Negeri Sembilan. Would there be another immigration checkpoint because Johor now is international area sort of thing? So that we're gonna be detail that has not been released by the both government. So that's gonna be details that a lot of people waiting for. And of course, the incentive of 5% corporate tax off or whatnot. Yes, all good. But certainly details that we need is what are the industry specific list of industries. Yes, there's a brief mention of AI or whatever, but it's not very detailed. So if you're a company doing very particular or very niche product or industry, you've been waiting, am I included in this? Is my company included in this so that I can take advantage of that tax reduction?
Yeah, I think overall it'll definitely boost Johor to be even more competitive in compared to the rest of the peninsula. It already is competitive relative to a lot of the other states in the peninsula, and it's nice to see in a way it applies a bit more pressure on the federal government to look at, say, hey, a lot of these states that are bordering another country provides a lot of incentive, has a lot of opportunity and potential to harness here. And the model that Johor and Singapore are embarking on, should it succeed, would provide a lot of energy, renewed energy enthusiasm for, like I said, other regions to pursue in different ways, right? So I hope that Johor will be able to navigate through this and make this a wonderful success story. But right now, like you said, the implementation of a rapid transit system so that they can link make it easier, because I think a lot of people are familiar with the congestion when it comes to going between Singapore and Johor. So a more public system that's able to, like you said, move 40,000 people would be even more beneficial. And I think in the long run, it would create newer focal points for economic interaction, because when you have moving 40,000 people, at minimum, let's just put it at minimum here, a day, a lot of supporting infrastructure, not just the main infrastructure, but supporting infrastructure will also be set up. Like, of course, the stations would have to support things like, popping up convenience stores. You'll be meaning people to maintain it, to clean it. So that means maybe more housing along those points there to have families who can work closer on to service this link here, this transit system. So that would also be in a chain reaction. That's how a lot of these trading cities starts. These trading hubs start, is that when you have to see potential between trade being commonly done between 2 points, then people start to see, oh, okay, what other value can I provide to make this more sustainable, to make this more thriving, to add more to this link here. So that is a classic tale of just enhancing trade viability and commercial activity between 2 points here. And Singapore and Johor, I think, have a very good relationship with each other historically, even till now. So I think that will continue to be. And I think, in a way, Johor will become more attractive for young Malaysians to head over to, in a way, service this potential of Singaporeans that will be coming into Malaysia, or to even like setting up businesses in Malaysia, so on and so forth. A lot of potential there, and then it's more attractive that way. And if, let's say, like you said, the Singapore side happens to be open, then it'll also attract more people to head over there. When it comes to Malaysia, there's a priority for Malaysians to explore career opportunities or explore things over there in Singapore, to see how they do things over there. So this is a case of moving away more from being defined borders, but like you said, it's more more fluid here. And then of course, the systems that will be in place on how to monitor it will have to be tailored. It will have to be curated, and definitely have to be looked more into, because, well, suffice to say, Malaysia has been known to be a transit point for a lot of unscrupulous activity, just to be polite here. So that will be something will be beefed up. Security must always be the number one priority for Malaysia, and I think Singapore would take it very seriously. I don't think Singapore would jump into being a bit more open or lenient with its borders if it does not see if it sees any compromise to its security as well.
Yeah, I just want to once again agree what you mentioned earlier, that this should be replicated in the southern Thailand as well, because these are the region in Thailand where deprived of economic progress. Similarly, with the North Malaysian side, where the Perlis, Kedah, and Kelantan are. So I think it's gonna be, if this gonna happen very well for Johor and Singapore, it should be a copy and paste mechanism to apply the same to South Thai and North Malaysia, so that we can have another special economic zone where we will revive economy. I'm sure they have different kind of industry that can complement, actually, right? Like in let's say in Johor here in Singapore, we focus more on technology, digitalization, AI, whatnot, all this advanced, right? Can we have something medium, maybe medium skilled workers that would be in the Southern Thai or North Malaysia's special economic zone, that would again complement this in Singapore? So you can see the symbiosis relationship on the north and south, and KL act as a capital where economy is, of course, the center, but also on the both end, there's another special economic zone that serve a very specific purposes. So that would be a wow. If Malaysia in 2030 will be like that, that's Malaysia will be. I don't know. I don't want to. I don't want to jinx things, but it's gonna be a wonderful, beautiful thing. Any last thought on this, Adi?
Yeah, I think, of course, you talk about North Malaysia and then South Thailand. But like I said before, can we do this for the Borneo side as well? Who knows?
Ooh.
Enhance it even more, adopt a different model. Of course, it cannot be a one-to-one replication, but these are lessons that we can learn, and then we can finally put it to uses. And I think, right, if it works out, I think Sarawak would be hot on the heels to try implement their own version of this. So that is very looking forward to and seeing if Sarawak wants to pursue such a goal or avenue.
Yeah. I mean, Sarawak is already on, on hot seats to just anticipate of Nusantara's development, to supply some energies to them, whatever. They already actually. It's just it doesn't. They don't call it special economic zone. So but Sabah, that's would be another topic for another day with someone very have a proper research on this. I think that's it for this topic. If you would like to comment on something that we already talked about, please comment down below. And if you want to suggest any other topic that you think we should talk here on Competent Council, please put down on below whether you're listening on Spotify or on YouTube. Next up, we're gonna go again to very local, very hot, even hotter than the hottest thing. So what's that? Let's go to the next episode.